Hey, John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I've gotten this question a few different times. I'm not actually reading an email because it's a pretty basic question. I thought I would answer this here, which is, what was your first programming job like? So, my first programming job. There's a couple of different jobs I had that could be considered my first programming job. So I started off in doing testing because I couldn't get a programming job, and then I eventually transitioned over to working on a team where I was basically working on a very small amount of programming while doing testing. So I won't really call that my first programming job. I think that was probably, it wasn't really my first programming job. So my first real programming job, well, I remember this pretty distinctly. So I was living in Boise, Idaho, and I was making like I think it was like around $20 an hour working for HP in that quasi programming job. And I got this call from a recruiter in Santa Monica, California, and it was to work on a contract at Xerox, and they were going to pay me $75 an hour. I was 19 at the time, and I was like, okay, yeah, sign me up. Where can I, I'll get in my car and I'll be down there tomorrow. And I had the interview for the job, and on the interview for the job, this was kind of during the .com craze. The person who interviewed me basically just asked me like some very basic questions about C++. Like, they didn't even ask me technical questions. They just asked me if I had experience and if I knew anything about C++ and if I was comfortable working on such and such project. And of course I said yes, and I pretty much got the job like in a 10-minute interview for, if you can imagine, at 19, for $75 an hour job. Which was way more, it was over triple what I was making before. So I went down to Santa Monica, and I remember as I was like the week before I started the job, I was furiously reading through a C++ book because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't deserve the job, and so and this is a lesson to learn, mistake that I made is when I did get the job, when I finally started the job, I still had no clue what I was doing, and instead of really learning, I was sort of just kind of getting by, and I wasn't really learning much. So it was kind of an interesting job because I think they just hired a lot of contractors without really evaluating their skills. I definitely didn't deserve the job at that time. And I tried my best, but with my limited knowledge, I didn't accomplish very much, and I didn't continue to learn at that time. That was like a big lesson for me. And so during this .com craze for the next 6 months, or I guess it was a year, everything was good. I was getting this ridiculous paycheck for basically not even doing much work, because there wasn't even much work to do, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I should have been using that time to develop my skills, but I felt like I was on the gravy train, and I had sort of backed off learning, and then all of a sudden I got let go. A bunch of contractors let go as the .com thing started to come to an end, and I was left scrambling. Once I found out that I was getting let go, I basically started studying very hard and started getting my skills ready for another job, and things worked out. But yeah, that was my first real programming job, and there was, like I said, a few. Yeah, I didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve to get that job. I didn't know what I was doing, but I learned an important lesson from that job, which was basically, if you're gonna fake it till you make it, you actually have to make it at some point. You can't just fake it. I was just trying to fake it there, and I wasn't actually learning. Like I could have used that opportunity to actually perfect my skills, to actually be worthy of that job, but instead I chose to kind of goof off, and I chose to just take things for granted and just assume that things were going to be that way. And you know, and the other thing I learned from that was that just being smart wasn't enough. Like, yeah, I felt like I got the job for, quote, being smart, but I didn't actually have the skills or knowledge that was necessary to keep doing that job. So I had a bit of a struggle after that, but I eventually found my way. I started becoming a lot more studious, a lot more devoted to learning and improving my craft, and then I actually got good. But yeah, that was my first programming job. So if for all of you that have been asking me about that was it. And if you have a question for me, just email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.